So we have our brother Charles here from Cameroon, and he's got a bit of a story to tell. So I wanted to read a few verses to start, ask him some questions, and you'll learn a few things that I've learned a little bit before, and I'm sure there's a lot more to learn. So it's kind of interesting that this church has become a bit of an international church. It started, I guess, 7.5 years ago with Kiza. Kiza was our first person here from, she called us from Congo, and her family came with 7 or 8 of them. And that led to one thing, and because of their reference, Ramazani's family all came out of that. And then we've had several groups of Iranians, Robert and Marta, we've had Milad and Massey, and who else? Seems like lots of others. But we've become kind of a destination a bit, so this has worked out very good. So you all know that the Bible talks a bit about strangers and foreigners and sojourners. So just to remind you of a few passages, I'm going to read a few passages. Basically, and it's an interesting political thing today because there's a fair amount of what you might call Christians in this country who really don't welcome foreigners. They're all about securing the borders and not having anybody, and a lot of other countries have that xenophobia problem. So that's not biblical. So here's some verses that tell us how we should behave. Exodus 23 verse 9 says, "You shall not oppress a stranger, since you yourselves know the feelings of a stranger. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt." So strangers or foreigners. In Leviticus 19, some of these start repeating themselves, which is another lesson. So when things repeat themselves, it kind of tells you there's added importance to that. So Leviticus 19:34, it says, "The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as a native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were aliens in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." So the other parts we talked about just recently about loving the Lord your God and loving your neighbors yourself, here it's called out specifically to love the stranger or the foreigner among you. That's Leviticus 19:34. Go forward to Deuteronomy 10:19. You'll get something very similar. Deuteronomy 10:19 says, so show your love for the alien or the foreigner, for you are aliens in the land of Egypt." So the exact same verse, except different place. Then Deuteronomy 24. Deuteronomy 24, starting in verse 17. Actually, I think, Deuteronomy 24:17. "You shall not pervert the justice due to an alien or an orphan, nor take a widow's garment in pledge." So you start finding these three in common here: the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. So those three are called out specifically as kind of a protected group. They need help. So Israelites are told to help them. When you reap your harvest in your fields and have forgotten to sheaf, you leave some of the food. So you leave some of the food. So it says that the foreigner can have some extra food. And we know later on this shows up in the story of Ruth. So Ruth follows the people who are harvesting, and she gets food, and she was a foreigner. So she was a Moabite living in the land of Israel. So there's a lot more passages like that. Deuteronomy 26, Deuteronomy 27:19. And then we'll look up a couple in the New Testament at the end here. But so I want to introduce you to Charles. And Charles, why don't you go back to Cameroon? Tell us about your church, how you became a Christadelphian, and about your family.
Thank you. My name is Amin Charles Jinkeng. Come from southern Cameroon. I became a Christadelphian some years back through the help of foreign brothers coming from Britain: Andrew Walker, Victor Okot, Otto Is, Ian FIFA, and Robert FIFA. So they actually helped teach me words, gave me the words, and came Christadelphian. Before everybody in our community was a Catholic or a Presbyterian. Christian, because those were the two churches around our community.
You were raised Catholic?
I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
When they came with doctrine, preaching, yesterday,
You were baptized at what age?
baptized of 20, age of 20,
And were your parents still there?
when my parents were still there.
Did they become Christadelphians too?
Actually, my father, when he died, he was mother is sick.
Okay. All right. So tell us a bit about the church in Cameroon. Is it small? Is it big?
We have very small churches, all this year hall. Number two is not big because most of the people tend to believe Catholic train dying and go to heaven. Well, kind of doctrine the Catholic. Also with the Pentecostal churches, laying hands on sick people. Sick, you don't need to go to the hospital, you see pastor. Most of the people have been washed of this kind of. Christadelphian community is not true. There are about 25.
And how old were you when you got married?
I got married in not
He was born 1972. I know that.
I was born 1972. Yeah,
I got his birthday.
I got married 1998.
98. So that was 22 years ago. All right. So you're still married and you have 4 children?
Still married.
All right. So basically they're home kind of in the bush and trying to survive. And
because of the crisis in Cameroon, because of the war, the French Cameroon fighting the English part of Cameroon. How many everybody have been internally displaced? How many coming back when Sisako situation back home? For 4 years, children have not been able to school.
Yeah, explain that. So one
Yes.
of your jobs is you are principal of a small Christadelphian school. Tell us about the school.
Yeah, I was a school manager, Christadelphian School for the Blind and Handicapped, Bengui. That's in the northwest of Cameroon. And basically what we do is to people come there with different disability situations, like polio cases.
Sorry. Just move this around. So it's closer to you.
Yeah, I was talking about the Christadelphian School for the Blind and Handicapped in Bengui, which I was a school manager. It's been sponsored by the Christadelphian Bible Mission and the Me a Day Fund. And basically what they do is they go into villages. We look for children, different disabilities, either polio cases, operate their foot and put them on crutches. They go on rehabilitation, try to walk on their own feet. For those with polio cases and cataract, their eyes are operated. All is for free. It is being sponsored by the Christadelphian Bible Mission.
So he was kind of like a principal, we would call it. And I think they had about 40 students.
Yes, we had 40. The maximum intake is 40.
So that was going good until there was a problem. So tell us about the problem about the rebels versus the government in school.
Yeah, the 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 Cameroon was, we had two Cameroons. We had the French Cameroons and the English Cameroons. The French Cameroon was colonized by the French, while the English Cameroon was colonized by the British. But the unfortunate thing that happened is the British left the English Cameroon without giving them independence. The English Cameroon were given two choices, either to join Nigeria or to join French Cameroon. So since then, there have been problems. And it comes to a level when the English Cameroon said no, they're going to have their own independence. They want to separate from the French Cameroon. And the war broke out 4 years ago, 2016. A lot of genocide, killing everywhere, burning of houses, school not going, economic activities too not going. I was a technical teacher in a technical college. Because of that, because I'm an Anglophone, the government thought we are supporting the pro-separatists, trying to separate from the French Cameroon. My name was on the list. So I was being arrested, then tortured, was through the help of my family.
Is this because you were with the school?
Huh?
Because you were with the school, or why?
The separatists have given order, they've closed down all the schools, been forced school boycott, that until they have independent schools, all the activities are not. But the government, it was an obligation for us to go to school, teach. The children are not going to school, but the teachers they have to report to school all the time and teach. And if you violate the order of the separatists will kill you. They've shot and killed so many teachers, also kill school children. So I was a victim of going to school, trying to go to school, trying to defy the order of the separatists, and being compulsory by the teachers, by the government for me to go to school. So I fall in between, and I didn't go to school for a time because many teachers were shot by then. I was afraid of my life, so I was not going to school again. So they arrested me and said, I'm taking side with the separatists. So I was detained and locked, tortured. The second time they came to arrest me was not in the house. Met my wife. My wife called and informed me that this came to the house again. Since then, I've never been to my house. I escaped from there to Douala. From Douala, one of my family friends paid me a flight to Ecuador, because Cameroon, Ecuador is visa-free. So when I got to Ecuador, I took bus to Colombia. Colombia, I went to Panama. In Panama, went to Costa Rica on bus. In Costa Rica, I went to Nicaragua. Nicaragua, went to Honduras. From Honduras, I went to Guatemala. Then I entered Mexico. I stayed in Mexico for some time because I was at the south of Mexico, and to live south and go to the north where you have the borders with the US, 4 days journey. It passed from the government. So I stayed in south for 2 months in order to obtain a pass. When I got a pass, travel by bus to North Mexico. which I crossed California.
So let's back up just a minute, just to recap. So what he's saying is he was a school principal. The government says you have to be in school. They're required to be in school. The rebels say if you're in school, we're going to kill you. Nobody's
Yes.
allowed in school. So if you do one, one's going to kill you. If you do the other one, you get beaten. You can't win. So if that's your job, you're in a really big problem. I didn't realize you didn't even get the chance to go back to your family.
Yeah.
So okay, so he goes through Mexico, and then you get to the U.S. What happens?
I went through Mexico because with the assistance of my cousin Georgia, by helping me. I got to Mexico. I registered myself at the immigration, and they asked me to wait until when the date when they will cross me.
So what he did is when he got from Mexico to the U.S., he didn't sneak across. He went as an asylum seeker. So they walk across the border into the asylum office. They declare asylum. Then the government, they got to figure out what to do with you. Like, oh no, here's another one. So they go through the process and they have ICE start the legal proceedings and then keep going.
Finally, on the 22nd of August last year, 2019, I crossed to US, California, and arrested by the ICE officers. Then that cross illegally, don't have a visa. In order to enter US, need a visa, which I didn't have one. But I gave them my reason why crossed, helped me some time, transfer me to Arizona. Arizona, I was transferred to Mississippi.
They flew him to Arizona with an ICE officer.
Yeah.
Then they flew him from there to Mississippi.
Mississippi, transferred to Louisiana. Louisiana, I started my case. I had a first court case with the judge, second court case, third court case, giving withholding of removal. Was released on withholding of removal, meaning that I will have to live in US until the problems in Cameroon are solved. That I can go out of US and my family can join me in the US. But I appealed the case. My lawyer appealed the case, and 2nd of September, I was granted asylum.
Well, that's a miracle. I don't know if you guys know the legal process, but to get asylum approved these days with
2020.
just last month, just a month ago. So he had a nice lawyer with some charity that helped out. He helped a lot. He said it came in last August, 2019.
22nd of August, 2019.
Right. And so somehow he survived in all these places. Like 2 months in Mexico can't be easy just to survive without a job. So I know you have lots of, a little bit too many adventures. But it's an amazing journey. And I didn't understand why he got here until I asked him. I said, why do you want to come to the U.S.? And then he told the legal problem. Yeah.
It's the same question the judge asked. Why did I not seek asylum in other countries that I passed? Why? I got a family. I got some family people. Also know U.S. protects refugees. Best human rights in the world is in the U.S. Not a place to seek.
Other people from Cameroon you knew come here? They kind of paved the way. They knew how to make the route. So why did you pick Chicago? An accident? No. If you had a cousin in Atlanta, in Georgia?
Yes. I picked Chicago because when my nephew came, he was ahead of me. when he came, he was in Chicago. So I thought I could come and Chicago. Well,
Right, so he came here. You came about February this year,
came in
March.
March.
So he lived with his nephew, and they lived with a friend from Cameroon who helped them out. Then after a while, the friend got married and moved out, and they were stuck. So they had another neighbor take them in,
Yes.
and the Cameroon community has been helpful to.
Yeah, fortunate. The eldest one, Mercy, was born in 2003. She'll be 17, going to 8. The boy, Joseph, born in 2005. He's 15 years. And Annabelle was born in 2007. And Otto, the last boy, 2000.
So the question was, is his wife a Christadelphian also? Yes.
Yes. No, I converted her into Christadelphia. She was a Catholic.
Catholic. Your story is very similar to Ramazani and Sangani because they were raised Catholic too. Seems to be a common thing. The problems that they've endured are similar too.
2016. Before 2016, there had been problems of marginalization, all of that, but it was not up. It is in 2016 that they actually took arms fighting.
So when you came to this country, was it what you expected, or what was what you expected, and what was you?
When I came to you,
yeah, you had a certain impression of what America is.
Yes, like what I told the judge, the first time the U.S. what I saw that I didn't expect. I was chained on my hands, legs. So it was very surprising to me. I asked, what crime have I committed? That
Eye-opening shocker. And you had to keep the chains on for a while?
No, when they take you to but any day you go into court.
So things we're not so used to, nor comfortable with. All right, so what are some other observations you had about the country? You got to do plane rides to Phoenix, plane rides to Mississippi. How did you get up here?
I think my observation for now, it is wonderful because what I have seen with my eyes, I do not believe it. In a short time, a lot of positive things in my life. Since I met Brother Dan, wife, the Christadelphian community, because when I got here, I fell sick. I had COVID, and I thought I was going to die.
So he gets here in March. Right away,
Yes,
he gets COVID.
I had COVID.
And when he had COVID, he was in bad shape.
Very,
so
very
some people
bad
not
shape.
so bad. He was pretty serious.
I was pretty serious. I didn't know I would survive. But by the grace of God and through your help, I made it. So I'm very grateful, so thankful. So thankful to the Defiant community. So thankful.
So just yesterday, Charles moved into his apartment. Folks here know. And it's kind of a miracle just coming from where he's from. And it's a nice apartment. He'll have a place to provide. And maybe your friend will join you too, because it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, since I want to confess that since 2019, when I left my house, it is today, last night, that I slept peacefully. Because in the detention center, it's crowded with people, anyone doing what he or she what they like. Maybe till dawn, you might not even sleep. When I was released, where I was living, we were about 4 or 5 in a room. Want to sleep, somebody's making a call, somebody is doing that, somebody is doing this. There's no way you can sleep. Only last night, I had a very peaceful night. I slept like a baby.
So his nephew is Noel, and he's a younger guy, 27 or so. He's working third shift, sort of. So he's still got a tough road, but he's a future student. Maybe if Nathan starts the young people's class, maybe he'll be a member. But his sleep is going to be irregular for a while. 27?
27.
Noel is 27, his nephew.
So, how did you?
Yeah, just so you know, the way we met is Charles found our website somehow, and he'll tell us. And then he just sent a message and said, "I'm here in Chicago."
How did I got that? I just Googled Christadelphian.
Google worked.
Google Christadelphian Bible Mission in Chicago, and I saw addressed route. I didn't know anybody. Nobody directed me. Google, and I saw, and I just wrote.
Well, it's probably Providence, because there's many cities you can come here and there's no Christadelphians. So we're not that abundant. This is a nice meeting size. If it wasn't this year, we'd be a little fuller and a lot more smiling faces. So from this church compared to your church back in Cameroon, what's the music? I mean, we have different service now. This is not normal, but is the music different? Is the prayers different? Or
yes, everything is different, and everything looks very sophisticated. Yeah,
that's him in the back.
we don't have pianos. We don't have a beautiful hall like this one. What we usually, but we used to have a service. We get somebody to do exhortation. We have a presiding brother. Normal service day, we have somebody doing exhortation. We have somebody doing breaking of bread, and yes, we have somebody offering prayers, wine, and for. We don't have this kind of beautiful
organization.
Yes.
So did you give exhortations there?
Sometimes other.
How many churches are in Cameroon?
We have churches, the 2 English-speaking regions in Cameroon, Northwest and the Southwest. That is, there are many churches, Northwest and the Southwest. Too many, not too large number of people.
Are they all English speaking? Cameroon?
Yeah.
Okay, because
If
the
you
English
go to
speakers
the-
taught them.
If you go to the French side, you hardly see study. The main language in Cameroon is French. It is supposed to be French and English, but the main language is French.
You don't speak French, do you?
You pardon me for my English. I know I don't speak good English, but I'm trying to learn.
So I asked him what his native tongue was, and you said Pidgin English?
Pidgin English, yes.
That's what he called it. Isn't that what they say in Jamaica? It's like an African English. It's like for Mexicans, Spanglish. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. Pidgin English. The main language is French.
But you speak French?
I was coming to meet wonderful people like you. I feel more comfortable and I feel now at home. I don't look like refugees again. I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Great, and thanks all for joining us. And